Hey, this is Darren. In this video, I'm going to be talking about engineering support. It's something that I'm passionate about, and providing the right type of support for manufacturers. So I guess specifically, the video is going to be about engineering support for manufacturers, for food and drink manufacturers, which is predominantly what my company supports. When I was originally setting my company up, I named it engineering support, and I did that for a reason. What I didn't see a lot of in the market was engineering companies that were dedicated specialists to providing support to manufacturing companies. So often manufacturers will bring in external support, but it's often fabrication guys that can provide support, and they're really good at what they do, but they don't have that specialist depth of knowledge that a maintenance engineer would. So my thought process was to create a company that provides the engineering support that a FMCG company would actually need, and to fill the resource, the people in that company, to have predominantly a maintenance background, the guys and girls that will be on the front line of that business, to have spent the time and have the experience of standing in front of problems all day long, every day. Ideally, they would be somebody that was frustrated where they were because they aren't able to solve the problems well enough in the way that they want, or they want more responsibility. They want to be able to take the lead on actually not just fixing breakdowns and getting machines running again, but actually digging into the root cause. What caused that problem? Can we put a solution in place to help the manufacturer to keep that line running, to remove this problem from actually being there in the first place? Very much lean manufacturing focused, which is my background. And as I've said before, early on in my career, I was employed by Unilever mainly because of the way my brain worked. They were looking for people that wanted to solve problems, not just bodge and scarper. They wanted to actually completely remove that problem from the process, and in doing so, make the whole process more efficient, make the business more sustainable. And that's absolutely a focus and a passion of mine, and always has been, removing those problems, getting to the root cause. And fundamentally, is it because of a efficiency or sometimes a laziness? I had, when I was an apprentice, I had two bosses. One of them thought I was great. One of them thought I was a lazy sod. And the reason that whole and they were both probably right, but the whole thought process of how I operate, how I approach every breakdown, I don't want to be going back time and time again to the same fault and just bodge it, just kick it in the right place, just press a reset and then run away. I want to make sure that I dig into the root cause, come up with a plan for getting rid of that problem, and manage that through, so I don't have to go back to that again, so I can focus on other things. I've always wanted to be focused on more important tasks, and have had a business mindset since I was a kid. So I think that commercial awareness, being able to see where the problems are and how they affect a business, how they affect the sustainability of a business, is very important. And I think that's a key point of not just a really good maintenance engineer, but a world-class engineer. So the kind of engineering support that I wanted to create, the company was definitely focused on providing world-class support. Not just get someone in, sort this problem out, but actually understand the problem, get to the root cause, come up with a solution, implement that solution, move on to the next. So that thinking kind of evolved, and when I started going down this route, I realised and got more into the management side of engineering that there was other problems that needed solving as well. The engineering support that is available isn't, as I mentioned before, isn't always there. So that then led us to start thinking about different types of support. What types of support do manufacturers need? At times they need 24/7 support. I had a call this week with a company that provides palletizing equipment to manufacturers, and they were having problems supporting 24/7 contracts because they're not geared up for it. They're geared up for building palletizers, robot palletizers. They believe they're better focused on doing that, building a great robot palletizer cell and everything else, supporting the customer with that, and then getting experts in to provide the 24/7 support, or even the servicing and sometimes installation, stuff like that. So there is a need for additional 24/7 support for companies, and to provide either breakdown support or planned support to get companies up and running quickly. If you're a manufacturer, you can't run a team with all the resources you need. There's just the way manufacturing is set up, you'd never get the budget. So you have to be able to pull them in when necessary. And that was kind of my thought process around engineering support. How can we provide that support? How can we absorb some of that, some of the problems that the manufacturers have? Be that comfort blanket that they can phone up, that we can be there within a certain amount of time, that we're the right people, we've got the tools, we've got the experience on that type of kit, we've been there and done it, and that was kind of the thinking. So the different types of forms of engineering support, I guess, would be, as mentioned, the 24/7 support, remote support. Sometimes you don't have to be on site to be able to support a company. You can do it remotely, and there's loads of really cool cutting edge ways of doing that. One of them is like these so the remote support, you don't always have to be online, and if you're using something such as the RealWear equipment, which we've got one of here that is one of their older ones. The stuff that they have now has moved forward quite a bit, but you're able to sit in front of a desktop computer and guide somebody in the field to a problem. So you may be sitting there with access to the wiring diagrams, the machine manuals. You may have some a resource. So one of the things that I like to do is to we write down, when you get to the root cause of a problem, write down how you got there, what the problem was, how you solved it. That then can go into a bank of procedures and recovery procedures or troubleshooting guides or whatever. But if you're in the field, you might not have access to all of that kit in front of you. But if you have this headset on, you can pull up some of that information. You can speak to somebody that's remote. Depending on how well you implement this and how the customer implements it, you can QR code various parts of the machine to automatically pull up this information. It can start a breakdown log in your CMMS software if you're using the right type of software. I mean, there's a lot that you can do remotely, and to get some really clever insights. And as an example, I might not be able to get to a factory that's got a problem. Maybe they're 3 hours away. It's going to take me 3-4 hours, depending on when I can leave, to get there. But I could jump on the phone or jump into a session with an engineer in the field that has one of these headsets on, and I can see exactly what they're looking at. I can then help to assist them. So I could possibly guide several different people without actually being on site by they can plug into people that have that specialist knowledge by using this type of stuff. So that's another avenue, that remote support. How do you do that? Can you use smart technology to be able to improve that? Another type of support, obviously breakdown support, kind of self-explanatory, but also service support, being able to, If a manufacturer is able to outsource some of their servicing requirements, then they can run their operation leaner. They don't have to have so many people. Maybe they can pull in specialists on certain bits of kit, as I've spoke about before, the robot palletizers and things like that. So for us, the types of companies we support is predominantly food and drinks, FMCG. We've also done automotive and automated warehouses, but predominantly it's food and drink manufacturing. In that, I guess most of our experience is around packing machines, vertical form fill seal or form fill and seal, flow wrappers, pack sealers, Mondini's Pro Seals, this kind of thing, Hassia machines, process kitchens as well. It's not something that we've done so much of, but we certainly have in different time periods. But the predominant, if we were probably 60-40, 60% on the packing end where the glory end is, and 40% on the process side and the equipment that manufactures the goods, whether it's a sauce or it's a fruit juice or whatever, that it sends to the packing machines to be able to pack out. And then you've got the robot palletizers. All of this equipment requires support through different periods. Companies go through different periods of busyness. Many years ago, I worked for Bernard Matthews, turkey manufacturer, and in the winter, obviously in the build up to Christmas, it was absolutely manic. They used to take on a lot of extra staff to be able to cope with that period. The problem is, and one of the big problems that company was dealing with was the rest of the year they were quite quiet. So how do you cope with them different busy periods? You could use a specialist engineering support company, to pull in that resource when you need it. Another company that I've worked for, their busy period was two different periods through the year. One was in the summer, they were a fruit packer, and one was in the summer, depending on where they were getting their fruit from, whether it was from Europe or whether it was South America. It would then give them two busy periods. They needed the resource at two different times during the year to be able to cope with that. Through their busy periods, they couldn't get their servicing done on their machines, so they would pull in us as an external resource to be able to help when their manufacturing had finished, to come in and do the maintenance on the machines and keep them ready to go the next day throughout this period. So that's something else that I see manufacturers struggle with, those busy periods. They're often stretched so thin in the busy period that they are then suffering from breakdowns because they aren't doing all of the additional work. They're not following up with proper fixes. It's just quickly get it up and running, get on to the next problem, and they just hope that they can get through that period to get to the lighter periods when they can then start to be a bit more proactive again. The problem is that the reactive periods can cause a lot of problem with the machines, that it takes quite a long time to get out of that again and get the planning right and get back into the proactive side. And it's difficult to do both at the same time. If you're a reactive factory, it's difficult to become a proactive factory and a planned factory. No, the reactive stuff is just get out there, find the problem, come up with a solution, get it going, on to the next. The planned stuff is more sitting down thinking about how can we solve these problems. Ideally, you can do, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you do them both. You have the problem, you then fix the problem, and then you come up with a solution on how to stop that from happening again. The problem is that there isn't often enough resource to be able to do that. So that's something else that we can help with, absorb some of those problems. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover today in the video, a bit about what we provide as an engineering support company, and a bit about the support that I feel needs to be there for manufacturers. Another problem that I see with supporting manufacturers is the skill set. The skill set is not coming through. There's not enough emphasis on bringing the right people through and plugging the gap between the skill shortages. The previous generations of engineers are retiring in huge numbers, and there's not been enough recruitment over the last 20 years to fill that gap. As our factories become more automated, smarter factories, we need more engineers, more technical people that are as comfortable to using a laptop as they are a multimeter and a screwdriver. One of the other parts of that, providing that support, is bringing them people through. I don't see enough companies doing that, bringing the right people through, but if they aren't out there, it's the only way. And the sooner companies can recruit and train and get more people out there, the companies also have to have that awareness that you're part of a bigger picture. One of the kickbacks I get from companies that don't recruit enough apprentices is that half of them are no good and half of them are going to leave. And yeah, that's the same with anybody you recruit. You're part of a bigger process. You have to accept that you're going to invest in people and they're going to leave. And sometimes you get the recruitment wrong. If your recruitment procedures are not correct, you don't employ the right people to start with. That's just the facts of the game. At the same time, the people that you're looking to hire, somebody else has put their money into training them. That's no different than the person that you've trained and that's left. You're just part of a bigger picture. We need to be comfortable in that and our place in that picture, and that we're all adding to the industry as a whole. And you can't control all the pieces, but what you can do is make sure that your department, your company, is somewhere that people want to work in. If you do that, you're going to lose less of them. If you're losing a lot of people, put some thought behind why. Why are they going? Is it pay? Is it the atmosphere? Have they gone to find a company that maybe values them more? These are all things that are in our control. It's much better to think in that way of, how can I change this? How can I change the department? How can I change the culture? How can I keep more people? I hope you find this useful. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, please like and subscribe, but also please follow a link down the bottom here to the website engineeringsupport247.co.uk, where you can join our newsletter. We're going to be building a community of engineers and people that are interested in technical stuff and trying to create this stuff that we've talked about. So if you're interested in that, please head to the website and sign up to the newsletter, where you get all of the announcements are given to the newsletter subscribers first. I'll see you on another video shortly.